So, I opened the market today. Let me just turn down the contrast. So I opened the market today. I went to the stock market. I saw the tech stock was down. At first I was like, maybe it was just a bad weekend, you know. Then I checked, the entire market was down. It was red. And I'm like, my stock portfolio, they're like heavily over leveraged. When I mean over leveraged, I'm talking about like 20x leverage on the tech industry. I'm panicking. Then the most critical one, let's talk about Microsoft. Microsoft has dipped significantly. When it was at 420, the entire market was going apeshit. It was like, this is institution manipulation. It's going to peak back up to 550. It was very hypocritical. Then I bought into the hype because I was frankly retarded for some goddamn reason. But to say the least, I am down about 2000s in Microsoft. It's not that bad, but to put that into perspective, there are people who is losing probably hundreds upon hundreds of thousands in Microsoft because of this. And so let's just talk into like Microsoft, essentially what's going on. At first I thought maybe perhaps it was market sentiment. Then I looked into it, the comments were very hypocritical. I have people telling me it's going to bounce back. I have people telling me it's in a bearish trend. It's going downhill. The next point is 345. And I'm like, God, I do not hope that happens. If that happens, I have to load up on my capital just to be able to handle that margin call. And it's not like I can't, but it puts significant strain on my position. And that's not only to say there's also other stocks that I'm holding that's tech related, which is also tanking like crazy, such as Nvidia or Intel. Those I believe is still survivable if it was to somehow crumble, but that's fine. I'm prepared for that. And I mean there's swaps and all, but that should be fine long term wise. I could probably call that back. Looking into Microsoft, from my personal perspective, most of you should probably use your own judgment in order to call your decision. Maybe you want to short Microsoft or you want to buy Microsoft. I won't give any opinion because looking at it, the technicals, if we are looking from a technical standpoint, it has switched to a just entered bearish trend. However, fundamentally, such occurrence does occur before, and market has reacted with such comment, but it has recovered to the previous high. That's one thing you should probably take into account for if you're watching this. And my personal view is 380 has already reached a certain point. You might be thinking, oh, maybe it's institution manipulation of some sort. But then, in my opinion, I just think that institutions themselves can't control such a large amount of stock to completely drop roughly 30% from highest point. And 52 weeks low, if I'm not wrong, is at like 340, which is what most analysts would say is the rock bottom if it ever does go there. And I believe 380 itself is already a pretty solid rock bottom. The main driver that actually contribute to Microsoft recent plummets is only two critical factors. One is the lawsuits. Microsoft is actually suing OpenAI. And why this might be a big deal is because they are heavily invested into OpenAI and it's one of their backbones. If the OpenAI contract to Amazon were to be extended, it could mean that OpenAI is actually reducing their reliance on Microsoft Azure, which is not good for Microsoft because it means that one of their stronger backbones is slowly moving on to competitors, which is a big no-brainer. It will cause a lot of bigger investors to be afraid. And I believe institution would react the worst to this because they're holding large position. But besides just, like I said earlier, besides just institution causing such a rift, another big deal is actually reduced cash flow. If we look at Microsoft, their cash flow has actually been reduced. This quarter, even though they posted overestimate, what I mean is they posted, they exceeded the estimation. Even though that occurred, they were still plummeting. That was due to the cash flow being reduced, and expense on AI actually reached record high. This causes fear where it could be seen as they're over-relying on AI infrastructure, and analysts actually said that perhaps because of such investment, their returns might not be seen for a long time. And honestly, I think that could be true to some extent, because if we know OpenAI, essentially they've been actually operating at a negative, which is also why in recent updates I actually heard OpenAI will be open to introducing ads into their apps. And with many competitors like Gemini, many other like Gemini, DeepSeek, what else? Grok, stuff like that. And I would say I'm starting to switch to other AI chatbots or assistant. I used to rely heavily on ChatGPT until I realized there's much better alternative in terms of such as coding. We would opt for cloud video edit or video. We would opt for Higgs fields, stuff like that. Even though some of that might be directly tied to ChatGPT or OpenAI source, it's undoubted the fact that it's actually being increased. The intelligence is actually increasing, like the quality of the software is actually increased at an exponential rates, where OpenAI could not catch up to its competitor. It's obvious, but perhaps there's still people who likes to argue otherwise. And honestly, I don't blame you. Maybe you're a long-term ChatGPT user like me, but from my perspective, Gemini has been quite great. Like Google gave students like me a year of free Gemini 2TB storage and Gemini Pro, which is insane to think about. And honestly, I see many other students opting for other applications and source as well. Many of Malaysians actually use DeepSeek now, and I don't know, maybe it's because they are more supportive of the native Chinese language, but you know what, let that be. At 380, what I essentially see in Microsoft is a short rebound to perhaps 390 or 400, but it might continue with the downward trend because the lawsuits haven't been handled. Their next quarterly reports haven't been announced. We don't really know what's going on with that investment and how we are doing with the returns. That's the mindset of an institution at least. So they are in the sidelines. They aren't sure what to do. Retails, on the other hand, are perhaps loading up because a lot of people, especially on YouTube, they're making videos like, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. You gotta buy now. Microsoft is at discount. They say that at 430, 400, 390, and now at 309 they're still saying it. That's complete hypocritical. So for retail itself, I do believe heavily people are hoarding up on Microsoft because it's a big tech company. Without AI, I believe it still can do very well for itself, honestly. A lot of big name software like Words documents, Excel, or many other cloud services that big companies, they rely on AWS from Amazon, and most importantly, Microsoft. Just maybe below Oracle, but that just gives you perspective on how big the tech industry actually is and how much Microsoft is actually the backbones of such industry. So that's why long-term wise is not it's not unrealistic to see Microsoft actually climbing back up to previous high. Such trend actually does occur where Microsoft reached 400 before going down and climbing back to 550, and now they're just going back down. Honestly, I feel like they should be doing fine long term. As for any investor that has probably severely over leveraged or is hedging their position in Microsoft, you probably have to be quite wary about that. Maybe if you're hedging, it should be fine, but take more call position rather than short position. That's how I would position my hedge. Maybe you can soften the blow and sell off your sell position, then just continue with the upward rights. That's what I see at least. For people with leverage, do calculate how much you're able to handle. I'm currently leveraged at 20x, and honestly, the maximum I'm capable of losing, if I'm not wrong, with about... I'm actually doing fine, yeah. Probably need to top up another 1,000 or so to survive this. If it actually do go down to 340, yeah, I do have to top up another 1,000. But yeah, I should be fine, theoretically saying. If it does actually go down bad, I mean, it would be bad, like very, very bad, but yeah, I will survive. I hope no one is actually like 100x on Microsoft. You'll be doing very bad, like, yeah. Do not buy call options, nor put options actually. With how the market is behaving, you really don't know what's on the horizon yet. Like, even I'm unsure of that. It's crazy. Should be fine. Alright, I think that should conclude today's memo. I'll see you guys next time if you come again.